Natasha, and if you are watching this video, you are most likely a Libra rising, or you know someone who is a Libra rising and am trying to find more information about this person or yourself. So lucky for you, in this video, I am a Libra rising, so I'm more familiar with this archetype as a Libra rising, even though I'm not a Libra at all. But when you find out more about your rising sign, if you are not an actual Libra sun sign or moon sign, you may find that you are kind of like a Libra, actually, because it's representing your first house. So what basically an ascendant sign or rising sign is basically taking the time that you were born, when you came out of the womb, and that is kind of setting the dial of your natal chart. So, you know, your sun sign is that actual season. You know, like I am a Capricorn sun sign, but depending on the location you were born and the time you came out, that sets the dial of your natal chart. So as a Libra rising sign, Libra is representing you, yourself, your physical body, who you are, your personality, regardless of the other planets going on in your chart. That also kind of helps interpret who you are, what your challenges are, and such things. But if we're only looking at the Libra rising chart and kind of how it sets the tone or the stage of the rest of your chart, then this is for you. And Venus is going to be your rising sign ruler, or what kind of pulls you into a certain direction for who you are. You know, it's going to take some kind of interest for what direction you go into, or you go in, blah. Yeah. So a Libra rising archetype, this is basically the rising sign is like the mask that you put on to other people. It is their first interaction of you and how they see you, regardless of them knowing anything about you or not. So, you know, this is the presentation that you bring to the table when you're interacting with other people one-on-one. It is also, you can interpret it as your natural survival personality that you just took on when you're growing up in childhood. So depending on how your childhood was, this is how you felt, or you naturally took on to survive in your environment, you know, growing up. So a Libra rising is like a harmonizer, people pleaser, doesn't want to rock the boat, the opposite of Aries. So not usually assertive unless you have a ton of Aries placements in your chart. They tend to be more passive or wishy-washy or indecisive because it's the scales. It's very calculative, and it's kind of like, I don't know, you know, like, do I like this? I don't know. I guess it's like, it's not that bad, you know, but like, is it something that I would have chosen to do? I don't know, you know? So it's kind of this kind of weird, wishy-washy kind of sign, or indecisive sign of how, like, other people may perceive you that way. But as a Libra archetype, you are just trying to make the best decision for you. Especially you have this 12th house Virgo thing going on. So 12th Virgo is most likely ruling your 12th house, and Virgo is a very detail-oriented, nitpicky, critical, very, you know, like, sees discernment, can pick out little tiny things that other people might not notice. And so as you notice those things, whether, you know, most likely it's not actually told to you, you're just observing or sensing these things in your environment, or picking up facial expressions, what people say, what people not say, their quick little body language, facial expression things. And that is teaching you or telling you something. You're reading it, and that is going to now make you this kind of Libra archetype of, oh, I know how to respond because I read your energy, or I'm reading your behavior, how you're acting, all of these things. So I don't want to make you mad or more sad or make you reject me, whatever it is for you. And now you're responding to these other people. So you come off as very harmonious, you know, you get along with everyone, you're like the girl or boy next door, charming, flirtatious. You really know relationships because you are other people, as weird as that sounds, because Libra represents the house of other. So you're putting the house of other, or the zodiac sign of other people, inside your sense of self. So you may find that you don't really know who the hell you actually are. That you may have lived a childhood where you had to please a parent, or you couldn't get your way in some way, or you just didn't have a choice and you didn't mind it, but your parent kind of, one or both of them, or whoever raised you, kind of dictated what were you gonna do, and that's just the way it had to be. And maybe you just understood it, or you just knew, you understand people and relationships, and so that's just what happened. So you're very harmonious, not really argumentative. You're more passive or restrained or respectful. So you might not bring up things that maybe an Aries would totally do. You're more like self-sacrificing and giving to whatever the situation, people that you're dealing with. You're kind of, whether you're conscious of this or not, you're kind of like making sure that you're not going to be rejected, or making sure that you're always liked, because you want to be liked by everybody. You don't want anybody to hate you. You know, that's kind of that people-pleasing sign or archetype that's kind of coming out, is that you don't want people to not like you, or you want to please them in some way, like you're good enough, or you look good enough. You want to be accepted to whatever group you can probably entertain or get along with a variety of groups. Like if you were thinking of some kind of high school, old school kind of cliques and stuff, you could probably be the one that blends in with the variety of different groups in the high school cafeteria table, like the jocks, the geeks, the athletes, the orchestra kids, the band camp kids, the kind of special needs group. You know, you kind of get along with everybody, you know, because you want peace and harmony and everyone to just get along, you know, because why not? You see the two sides of situations or people. Like not everyone is just, in order to get along in the world, you have to kind of not be so arrogant and self-centered, which is kind of more of the opposite of Aries. It's not always about you. So, you know, they're kind of really good at relationships in that way. So you may find those traits in you. Libra can also be kind of materialistic, or like a lot of nice things, because they love aesthetics. They just love beauty, good architecture, texture, good clothing, even if it doesn't have to be expensive, but it's just like a sense of style, shopping, you know, or makeup, hair, or suits, shoes, things like that. So it can come off as a materialistic sign, because they just like aesthetically pleasing things, or designing. They're a creative sign, even though it might not seem like that, because it's just the scales. You may think of they're just like the judge, or, you know, they're just seeing two sides of the coin. It is the scales are the only inanimate object in the zodiac sign. which represents this kind of other, there's no strong identity, and if you don't, hopefully you're able to find that with time, or you have something else going on in your chart for you to really figure out who you are and not be who everyone else wants you to be. Okay. I like to try and tap into the personal houses in these rising sign videos. So most likely, if you are a Libra rising with no duplications or interceptions or anything like that, and there's only one zodiac ruling each one of the 12 houses, then most likely your 4th house is Capricorn. So 4th house represents your family, home, and childhood upbringing. So most likely growing up, it's Capricorn. So you grow up kind of having to work. Capricorn represents career and work. So in some sort of way, even if it doesn't seem like child labor or anything like that, maybe it was for you, but you had to grow up early, you had to somehow work, or you had a strict parent and they made you somehow do a ton of chores or a ton of activities, but you had to literally work, and you had to do it the slow, grinding Saturn way, because Saturn energy or Capricorn energy does not let you do things really fast, superficial, and easy. You have to really do hard work to build, because Capricorn is building from nothing to a big empire, CEO or something like that. So you can find that growing up, your home environment was kind of cold in some sort of way, or you saw two sides of your parents, so as a Libra rising, you see two sides of a coin. So you had two kind of different archetypes of mom and dad, or whoever parented you. So you could have had a very strict, aggressive, dictator type parent, and you could have had a very submissive, almost absent, or, they were just there. But they didn't really nurture you. So maybe you had a workaholic parent, always gone, and you had a depressed parent who was at home but was so depressed. If you know depression, it's like if it's really bad, then they just have no mood or energy to wash the dishes, or they're sleeping all day, or they're just into just trying to take care of themselves. And it doesn't have to be like that, but it's just like the environment of your childhood was kind of this kind of cold energy. It's the opposite of Cancer. Cancer is very nurturing, like, oh, what do you want? Like, how was your day? Did you make any friends? Or, like, oh no, this is your weak point. We need to give you tutoring and do these things. In some kind of way, there was kind of coldness. So you had no choice but to be very independent and figure things out on your own, and had to work for it. And this is what gives you this kind of upside down chart, so where Cancer is supposed to be, the exact opposite is there, and so you're always trying to balance the two exact opposites that are similar yet different, which gives you this Libra rising archetype of always needing to be in balance. So Libra represents balance, or the scales. If one side is too far down and the other one's too far up, you're always trying to find a way to kind of somehow level it all the freaking time, or every day, whether, you may not feel it because you're conditioned over the many years, however old you are, that it doesn't really feel like anything to you, because you've had to work for this balance, or thinking ahead of time of like, no, if I do X, Y, and Z, You know, what are the short-term and long-term consequences of those decisions? And am I willing to deal with that, positive and negative? Is that going to throw my life upside down? Is it going to throw my life in all the different sectors of my life upside down? Can I realistically handle that? That is the kind of Virgo 12th house, Libra archetype of being very analytical and calculative in how they approach their life. Because if they make big decisions that are just gonna make that little scale thing just flop over, they're gonna go nuts. Like, they won't be able to handle it. You know, that's gonna make them really crazy because they need balance, or finding balance all the time. You know, so they come off as very indecisive and kind of slow. You know, sometimes it can be fast if they really know or have matured or developed whatever areas they're deciding on. But it's kind of like this whatever teetering thing. But when a Libra archetype or Libra rising really decides or commits, they know it's the right decision for them. Or if they do it and they learn their lesson like a normal human being, now they know what was right and wrong from that previous relationship or career choice or whatever decision, to now, you know, take that on to the next venture. You know, so it's always weighing the pros and cons of everything. So that's kind of your 4th house, Capricorn. As an adult, you may find that you're always somehow building yourself or your home and family, or your career might be built in the home, or you are trying to build, you know, real estate empires, you know, because it's in the 4th house of home and family. This thing can play out on a multitude thing, but think of career in the home, or you always have to work really hard and have a ton of setbacks, delays, all these things within the home and family life, or, you know, which affects you usually in some degree. And you always have to kind of climb up or out, however you want to describe it. And you're always getting this kind of pushback, you know, but you're always trying to, you know, grow, expand, build, make money in investments in the home, or make smart investments with the family that you choose, because you can't really control the family that you were born into, you know, or how to help build and grow the family, either that's psychologically, make them better in some way. It's something about growth and expansion. Can be like supply chain. Capricorn is also, you know, think of a corporation. In order to make a successful corporation, you have these different structures and departments, you know, and then you have people who know how to rule and operate those departments. And sometimes you have to do the hard thing of hiring, like, did you make a good hire? Do you need a fire? Or like, oh no, we're taking too much of a loss here. How do we recover or make it better? You know, it's a lot of problem solving on a very complex, grand structure. It can be like politics, you know, like how do you be politically correct, you know, in the family system or with property, or, you know, like it's the root, you know, having a good, strong root home life may be important to you, if that is the thing, but you have to look at everything else in your chart. I find it important to me because my chart ruler, for example, as a Libra rising, Venus is in Scorpio, and that's in my 2nd house. So Scorpio is already like a psychological house, you know, and so the psychology of your family or the people that you choose to become family with, if they're not mentally stable or they have mentally unhealed, all these things, and you're trying to build a family with them, then if they're not healed, that's going to affect you. If you are healed, But if you're not healed either, then eventually, maybe that will expose things. But if you are healed and the other person's not mentally healed and you want to build a family, most likely or are aware that that person's unhealed baggage, trauma, whatever is going to trickle down into your relationship and how you raise those kids, and that's probably going to start some issues. So that's that calculative Libra Virgo 12th house thing happening. For example, your 7th house is most likely ruled by Aries. So Aries is the opposite of Libra. So you may click with, be attracted to people who are very ambitious, people who are very assertive. They know how to assert themselves and they're not people pleasers. Very bold. They have their own endeavors and aspirations. They're not afraid to go after what they want. This is like attractive to you in some way. Or, you're drawn to them because that may feel kind of foreign and scary to you. Like, wow, like they're not afraid to not be liked, or they're not afraid to say, F that, whatever, F these people. Like they're trying to pull me down or whatever. Like they don't please people if they're surrounded by people who are trying to take advantage of them or whatever. They're going to assert whatever they believe, even if it's delusional. They're going to assert that they're right. You may be attracted to people who are hard-headed and one-sided, unfortunately. At the same time, other people, because 7th house represents other people may see you as this Aries archetype in some way, like, oh, you're just doing it for yourself, or you're one-sided, or they see you as a warrior, like you've been through a lot, and you always rise back up, because Aries energy is like that little infant learning to walk. They fall down many, many times, but they seem to get over it really quick, and they stand back up and they have no fear. That is the Aries archetype. You may find that your relationships, that you get into relationships really fast, unless you have more Aries energy in there. If it's empty, then this is just the energy of that department. You may find that you get into business contracts or marriage contracts or just relationships really fast. Like, oh, I like you, you like me, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And you don't even have a conversation. You don't really get to know them really well. You may find that you realize you're codependent. You don't like to be alone. As a Libra, relationships are important to you, usually. And you don't want to be alone. You want to be with someone else. You need to always do something, even if it's not something that you would necessarily do. You want to tag along with someone else. You want to be the little support system for someone else. So that's why you may be attracted to this really fast energy who they tend to know what they want. And at the same time, other people see that you're kind of an Aries archetype too, but you don't really know what you want, and you get into relationships fast, or you're attracted to people who are very arrogant and assholey, and people are like, why someone like you with someone like that? Because you're very opposite. You may be very into other people. You need to care about other people, think and be considerate about other people. And your partner's like, oh, I'm in it for myself. I don't care about other people at all. And they're like, whoa, that doesn't make any sense. But it might not be very obvious to you. It's just the energy of what's going on. Because you may say, oh, I would never be with someone who is like that. But you may not know that that's how they are when you are not around. They may be nice to you and you kind of click and get along, but at their workplace, when you're not around, like, no one really likes them, or they're very argumentative and they don't cooperate with other people. They're very one-sided, or it's their way or the highway, or they're a boss, you know, like they have to be a boss in order and have people below them in order to kind of get away with that. So it just depends on what's going on for you. Your 10th house of career is most likely ruled by Cancer. So this is how the world or the public who don't know you kind of see you as. So you come off as very nurturing, caring, kind of like a mom if you're a female, or a dad, you're very nurturing and caring, like in a world view. Or people see you as like everyone is their children. So I'm a personal trainer full time. I've been doing that for almost 10 years, and I like to say that all my clients, even though they're most of the time they're older than me, they're like my children. And so this is like the interpretation. Like when you're a parent and you have a lot of children, like if you had 10 children, they're not going to have the same personality, but you love all of your children no matter how much that they make you crazy, they fight. There's one shy one, there's one who wants to take over, one that always needs hospital bills all the time from getting into accidents, or like a variety of things. And you're like, ugh, like why this kid is kind of making my life very challenging, or you're trying to help them kind of move up or console their emotions and needs, and trying to be fair, which is kind of really impossible to be fair with all of that many kids, or like how do you help yourself or whatever. And at the same time, you love all your children no matter how different they are, or what their struggles are, or if they're being a little asshole, you still love your children. So the world sees you as very caring and nurturing to whoever you're dealing with. Like even if they're a delinquent and a crazy psychopath killer, you'll be like, oh, like you're still nurturing and kind of understand, what made their background, what made them do those things, even though it's like it was wrong, you shouldn't do things like that, but you still have this kind of motherly, caring side or quality, or energy to that. That's an extreme example. But that's kind of the thing. Like if you were a parent and your child did a terrible, horrifying thing, and you're like, I don't know where my kid got this from, and they did not get it from me at all. I did not teach anything. I don't know what in the world goes on, but at the end of the day, they're still your kid. And usually the parent still loves their kid no matter what they do. Or they're estranged and they run away because the parent doesn't feel good enough. If that's your case, like, oh, my parent didn't love me or whatever. So you have to think of the perspective. It's just the energy of, how your 10th house is playing out. So having your 2nd, 6th, and 10th houses being in water houses, like 10th house being in Cancer, most likely you're doing something that is healing or nurturing, or in those departments of work. So you have to care about what you do for work, otherwise you might not want to do it. So that's where this 7th house energy kind of comes into play. Like, oh, you're not going to just do something for the money, even though your family really needs the money. You might have a hard time just doing a mindless job if it pays a ton of money. Like, you actually have to care about what you do for work, whatever that happens to be. So that Most likely, if you are a Libra rising, I'm going to tap into the other houses. Your second house is most likely ruled by Scorpio. So second house is naturally ruled by Taurus, the opposite sign. So it's kind of inverted. So your second house, you may find, if you are on the luckier side, perhaps, that you tend to, your personal finances somehow are tied with someone else, or you get inheritances, or you get lucky with loans, student loans, in order to help you climb up or maneuver life. You know, you can take advantage of that, if that applies to you. Your self-worth and self-value is related to this very deep psychological scorpionic energy, or your sense of self-worth and self-esteem is related to deep sexual kind of relationships, in order to feel good enough or feel whole and enmeshed, you know, with something. Because Scorpio is also this relationship house. It's just the next step after marriage, and now it's in your second house of self-worth, self-esteem. And then the opposite, eighth house, is Taurus. So where Scorpio should be, Taurus is placed. So you may find that your personal finances somehow get kind of tied into people that you're joined with, whether that is, you know, other family members or the person you decided to be in a relationship with. Your money is just tied with them. So there's just kind of this weird thing happening. So it's harder to really decipher the difference of it, but it's more like you have Scorpio energy in the second house, or you go through big changes and transformations with your personal finances, or big changes and transformations in the area of your self-worth, self-esteem, in order to come out of it or build up, because Scorpio is about that Plutonian major change and transformation, or death and rebirth, feeling that like you died or like you lost everything, but somehow you build back up better, you know. So it's that kind of energy going on. Your third house is most likely ruled by Sagittarius. Third house is normally ruled by the opposite of Gemini. So your learning style may feel kind of foreign or different than what is how it's typically taught. You need like a broader way of explanation, because Sagittarius is very big and expansive, and it's also a teacher, but it's like the higher education, your master's, PhD, or you're the one who wrote the textbook to teach the Gemini people. So learning those grade school things might feel foreign or far away. In order to learn it, it's kind of, you need someone else to explain it to you in a different way sometimes to really grasp those basic concepts. I found that for me, but I have Chiron in Gemini, so that's already a thing. Sagittarius here, you may find that people in your close environment, or the people that you grew up with, or the people that naturally gravitate toward you, are somehow a bunch of foreigners in some way, or they're different from you. They came from a foreign land, a different country. They speak multiple languages or a different language than you, or they come from a different religious background. And so you may find that you gravitate people who are like cultured in some way, shape, or form, or you come off as kind of foreign and different to them. So there's an exchange there, you know. So that's that. And then the opposite, Gemini in the ninth house. Ninth house is normally that Sagittarius house of your belief system. So you may like religion, and publishing, higher education and learning is kind of very busy, ungrounded, a little bit creative, because Gemini, or curious, like curious about bigger belief systems, or curious about, like why, like you may be fascinated with, there's multiple religions or multiple ways in order to believe something. But why do these people believe in that? Why do people believe in that? And what is the truth? So Sagittarius is also that explorer of finding the truth. What is out there? What is the truth? Instead of being stuck in your little bubble, or if you've never traveled before, you just stayed in the same city your whole life, you have this kind of narrow view of how people in the world work, and whether that was how you were taught or your perception, because you just never were exposed to other people that branched out. But having Sagittarius and Gemini here, you may find that you're curious as to why do people believe and do and live the way that they live. Why do they believe and stick to the traditions that they grew up with? Is that the truth, or is that just something that was passed down and people never questioned it as truth or not, and they just kept it alive and kept passing it on? So Gemini is like curious about philosophy, learning about all of these things, or learning about traditions, learning about belief systems, and all of that. It's a very busy thinking energy in this kind of grander department. Okay. Your 11th house is most likely ruled by Leo. So you may find that you have a lot of friends who have this Leo quality. So they're natural leaders, whatever they tend to do, or they're very talented, or they have a really big, caring, giving heart. They can come off as very playful. They're fixed fire. So maybe kind of stubborn in their own way, or prideful, because that's the downside of that. Or they see you as that, like you turn heads, because Leo in general is this, whether they intentionally do it or not, the Leo energy is like people just look at them and they know that is the lion. You don't mess with the lion, you respect the lion, and it's a known thing. And it's a leadership. It's like, okay, that's the king of the jungle, or there's this kind of aura or royalty about them. So your friends may see you in that light in some way, shape, or form, or you have a lot of friends who are like this archetype. Or you may attract friends who are like kind of prideful, like they want to be the star, they want to be the sun, because Leo represents the sun, or the sun represents Leo, and they want to be the star. And so if you outshine them, they kind of don't like it a lot, so they kind of want to quietly kind of be out from your life, or they don't want too much spotlight on you because it's going to make them not shine as much. Or when you're out in a group, they don't want everyone looking at you because you're kind of distracting the attention from them. There's going to be something going on there, or their crush that they're trying to attract. They don't want you around because now they might like you instead of them. So they don't want that, so it's something like putting you a peg down, like that. So that can be a thing for a Libra rising if everything is in order like that. And I believe that concludes Libra rising. If you want to get a personalized birth chart reading, you can go down into my website. That's in the description box below. You can copy and paste it or whatever. It's called www.natashascreativewellness.com. You can book in the scheduling area, and you just need the date you were born, city, location you were born, and the time you were born. And I'll try and get that to you as soon as I can. You can also get merchandise, journals, yoga mats, other stuff that's based on creative stuff that I've done in the past, paintings. You can check out my fitness channel, Natasha Greenwood, or fit_Tasha Flex, if you're into the fitness side of wellness, in order just to overall be better. You know, so we look at astrology as just a tool in order to get some creative insight, self-reflectiveness, in order to somehow be better, more aware of yourself, or just kind of heal and accept, you know, how things are playing out for you, what you need to work on, and let go of the other things that you cannot control, and just moving through the energy of whatever is going on right now for you. So yeah, check my website out and my other channel. Please like and subscribe to help grow my channel. If you find any of this informative, share it with someone who you may find that they may find this informative, or you know, sometimes your kids, they don't really want to listen to you, but they'll listen to someone else. So, you know, that can be a thing as well. So, yeah, I'm Natasha, and hopefully I'll see you next time, or check out the playlist down below for some other videos. Okay, bye.